pleasure to meet you, Sandra. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself? Yeah.
Of course. So my name is Sandra. I'm from Colombia. I'm a Spanish teacher in Italki. What else? Right now I'm in Bogota, but I live
Mm,
in Medellin.
mhm.
I originally from the Pacific coast of Colombia. And right now I'm trying to document my progress learning English by myself. And yeah, that's it.
Oh, does that mean I'm going to be on a YouTube video one day? Yeah.
Yeah, I try to show people how they could learn by their own, and
On
yeah,
their
I try
own.
to.
Yeah. Yeah. On their
That's it.
own. Yeah. Yeah. Or by themselves. Yeah. Yeah.
What about you?
What about me? I'm not that interesting. No joking. Yeah. Mm, mm. So I am, well, I'm Mohammed. I'm British, but I'm mixed. I have a mixed background. My father's from Britain, my mother is from Egypt, and I was born in Sudan. I grew up in Saudi Arabia, and then when I was 15, we moved to the UK, and I lived in the UK for 14 years. And then, in 2021, I left the UK and I went to different countries. And finally, I'm here in the Philippines. So that's kind of like where I am. Um, and yeah, I'm like you, I'm also an English teacher, but I'm a teacher on italki, but I teach English, or I teach English. And yeah. And there you go. So I'm in the Philippines. I'm living life, and I teach English, and I also enjoy learning languages on my own as well. So in my case, I'm trying to learn Japanese. So yeah, yeah. So mm.
Okay, and why Japanese?
Why Japanese? Many reasons, right? But basically, I would like to live in Japan in the future. So definitely it's important for that. But I also love to watch anime, the Japanese cartoons, and I would like to be able to enjoy the anime directly without the English subtitles. And it's a challenge, right? I would like to master another foreign language because I'm really monolingual, right? I know some Arabic and stuff, but I'm not really fluent in any other language other than English. So I would like to master Japanese, and that's kind of like a personal goal of mine, as well as the other, life goals, but that's one of them. Yeah, yeah, that's
Okay, sounds good. What
yeah.
about Spanish?
Sorry, what about Spanish? I was learning some Spanish last year because my wife's language is Chapacano, and Chapacano is a Spanish Creole language. It's based on Spanish, so there's like 70% of the vocabulary in Chapacano is Spanish, and so I thought that it would be easier to learn Spanish, and then because the vocabulary is just transferred over to Japacana. So I was studying Spanish last year, and I enjoyed it, but I was just doing a lot of reading, right? I know some words and stuff, right? Yeah, yeah. But I would like to go back to Spanish in the future. When I finish something very difficult like Japanese, I'd like to do something easy like Spanish. So I think in the future, I'd like to go to Spanish. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So tell me a little bit more about how is your life in Philippines?
Well, basically, right now I'm married and I have a baby son, and I live together in a house, a small house with my wife. We rent a house, and
Ah,
yeah. So I how do I put it? Right. I've been living in the Philippines since September 2022. So I've been living here for nearly 2 years, right? Um, yeah, so I've gotten quite used to the life here, eating Filipino food every day. Yeah, and I learned a little bit of their language, so I can understand some common things that they say. And it's a simple life, really. I make the money and I talkie, and then my wife takes care of the house and takes care of my son, and we enjoy the life together. Yeah, yeah. I don't know what else to say. And then of course she has a big family. She has a big family, and from time to time we have these family gatherings, right? Like, on her mother's side of the family, there are like 25 people and or 30 people. So we have these big, family gatherings like birthdays or Christmas and New Year, and sometimes you go on holiday on trips, right? Like that. So yeah, yeah.
Wow, that sounds good. Sounds really good. Comparative with England, it's so difficult, or there are so many different aspects which are different. For example, England comparative with Philippines.
Compared to Philippines, I mean, um, well, firstly, Philippines is more interesting. There's never a boring moment in the Philippines because, and I mean that in both a negative and positive sense, right? There's always something happening. Maybe, for example, there'll be a typhoon and then it floods, right? So that's exciting. And then and then and then there are obviously festivals and there are lots of holidays here. The Filipinos will take any opportunity to have a holiday. So that's nice. England, on the other hand, the main things that kind of mark the year are, Easter, um, the summer, then you got Christmas and New Year's and Halloween, yeah. And that's really the most interesting. Oh yeah, there's also bonfire night in November 5th, the 5th of November. Other than that, there's really nothing interesting to look forward to in the UK, and life is kind of boring. I can say I'm not the only one that feels that way. I had a British neighbor here, and he left the UK because he felt bored as well. It can be, it's comfortable, but nothing happens, It's a beautiful country for sure, right? But again, it's like, yeah, it's kind of boring because, you know, you work when by the time you finish working, it's nighttime, and then all the shops are closed when it's like 5 p.m. or by 8 p.m. everything's closed. But here, um, some things are open after 8, but it's a little bit more active at night. Yeah, that's the nice thing about Asian countries. It can be a bit more active,
Okay, okay, excellent. So, okay, let me explain to you my goals. First of all,
Go ahead. Yeah, yeah.
I want to improve my the way that I asking questions to people, because I discovered or I noticed that I'm good speaking in certain points, but I want to improve my questions. Because
Mm,
always when I try to ask questions to people, I use different structures, or I quite confused doing that, and I want to improve it. That's why I prepared a topic called cultural aspects. Okay, so in
cultural
that with that
aspects.
cultural aspects. So with that topic, I want to improve my questions and also know more about your culture, because
Mm.
for me, British culture is, I don't know. For me, it's interesting. It's interesting because they
Sure,
have
sure, sure. Mm, yeah.
they have certain I don't know, customs or traditions that are important to me. Not important because I want to practice them or something, is because it's different to my country, different to Colombia. For example, the tea time for me is so funny, but
I mean,
it's
not everyone practices that. Yeah. Um, not everyone practices that. Yeah. Yeah. Mm. Yeah, yeah. At least it wasn't something that I did, and it wasn't something that my aunt did. My father's sister. Uh, it wasn't really something. Yeah. Because you see, usually I mean, most people, what happens is they go to work at 8 a.m., right? And then they start work at 9. They have lunch between 12 and 1 or 12 and 1:30, and then they come home at 5, right? So there's no tea time, right? As such, right? They go home and then they have dinner. But in the north, in the north of England, we call dinner tea, So my aunt would ask me, "What are you having for tea?" Right? Meaning, what are you having for dinner? Right? So it's another way, or what's for your tea? Yeah. Meaning, what's for your dinner? Yeah. Like, 6 p.m., 7 p.m. kind of time. Um, she didn't mean, about the actual tea, but like dinner. Yeah. That's a northern expression. I don't think the South use that expression, right? Um, yeah, by South I mean, London, and the North I mean Liverpool, Manchester, like that. So yeah,
Hey,
right.
okay, really
Yeah,
nice. Didn't know that. Okay.
yeah.
So, how you could describe the British culture for you? What is the concept of British or being British, or how you could describe the British culture?
What's funny is if you ask a British person that, not me, because in my case I am British, but I went to Britain, so I'm kind of both an immigrant, but also like there as well. So I'm both native and an immigrant, so I have both perspectives. But if you ask a British, they would say, "What culture?" Like in their minds, British culture is very hard to define because we have a lot. Britain is a cosmopolitan country. I like to use that word because it means multinational, multi-ethnic, multiple nationalities. And we have Pakistanis, we have Chinese, we have, even South Americans, Brazilians, we have Africans, we have, Arabs. So and they've all brought their culture into England, right? For example, we have chicken korma, right? Or yeah, we call it chicken korma. It's basically Indian curry, yeah. But we took it and we made it our own, right? For example, right? We loved a lot of British like Thai curry, right? Um, we've taken the doner kebab, the shawarma from Turkey. We took that, and we made it our own. But it's not that we made it our own. It's just that, for example, Turkish people or Kurdish people will have restaurants and they will have doner kebab. The Chinese will come and they have their own restaurants and things like that. So all these different nationalities they come. Anyway, so British culture is a bit hard to define because it's like a little bit of everything. But if I had to say what it is, it's oh, that's a difficult one. Yeah, yeah. But 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 I think in general that the thing that highlights British culture is politeness, not wanting to bother other people, not wanting to be bothered, right? And but so there's yeah, yeah. Um Yeah, yeah. So there's that. This is why some people think people in Britain are cold, but they're not, right? They just don't want to bother you, right? And they don't want to be bothered. So everyone is kind of busy with their own lives, kind of
Mhm.
thing. Mm, uh,
Mm.
that's yeah, yeah. British people love to complain about everything every day. Yeah. So that's also part of British culture. We love to complain. We'll complain and criticize everything, the government, the city, the country, the food, the weather, the schools, right? The work, right? Everything we criticize, we complain. Yeah, yeah. British people love to complain. Yeah. So that's
Yeah,
that's
I heard that.
definitely part of British culture. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
and and we also know that our cooking is crap. Yeah. So that's another that's another thing. We're self-aware that our cooking is crap.
Yeah.
So that,
Okay. Yeah. You even complain about the train.
yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Why is the bloody train late? Oh, yeah, like this kind of thing, Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's so funny. Okay, so for you, what is the most interesting thing about British culture? Culture.
Well, I mean, well, mm, the for, yeah, I mean, because obviously this is going to be a personal answer, right? Because I think other people would give different answers. But one thing I really like about, is the reading, the libraries, right? I don't really see libraries as a big feature in other countries, right, that I've been to. But in Britain, libraries are still like common and they're a staple of the country. Like they're a part of although not many people like to read anymore, but still libraries are a nice part. And I when I moved to the UK, going to the libraries and borrowing books was a big part of what I used to do until I got my own Kindle, and then I stopped going to the library. But I still like the library. It's a nice place. I really think libraries, books, reading, bookstores as well. Bookstores are they're a kind of that's part of the charm of the British culture. The libraries, the books, the bookstores like Waterstones. Waterstones is a bookstore franchise. Um, and they always have like a coffee shop called Costa Coffee, and it's always nice to go into the bookstore and go to the coffee shop and get a book and have a hot chocolate or something. I for me that's one of the charming things about the British culture, the reading, the books, the bookstores, the libraries. That's something that people are kind of losing. I would feel, right, but Britain still has it, right. Yeah, libraries. Yeah.
Really good,
Mm,
excellent. Okay,
mm.
from your perspective, tell me one thing that you love about British culture and one thing that you don't like about British culture.
Well, I mean, mm, mm, mm,
Part of the library life.
mm. Well, British culture. Like I mentioned, it's quite easy to get books. It's quite easy to yeah. So books. You have an amazing access to books in the UK, and of course you got Amazon and things like that. So really, if you are a bookworm, yeah, England's a good place to be. Yeah, and because you know, um, how do I say it? Because is part of the first world and it's kind of connected to America and things like that. So it also is, whenever there's a new movie or things like that, you, we have access to that in the UK. We also get it and stuff, right? So that's nice. Other countries like the Czech Republic, they might have to wait, or the Philippines might have to wait, but in England we get it quite quickly, right?
Mhm,
Um, so that's nice, right?
mhm.
What I don't like about British culture, I mean, again, so they is this part of British culture or is this part of the country? This is hard to say, but basically, um, Britain imports a lot of things, right? And and especially fruits and vegetables, they import a lot of things. And so, for example, if you go to the supermarkets, you find that the fruits and vegetables are not fresh, right? Because they they store everything in freezers, and then when they need to sell it, they will, put it in the supermarkets. And when you get the fruits and vegetables, they go bad within 2 or 3 days, right? Compared to when I bought fruits and vegetables in Morocco and Turkey and Georgia and the Philippines, in different countries, the fruits and vegetables, they last a long time because, they're fresh. But in the UK, they're not fresh, they're old. And so that's something I don't like. Like the quality of food is,
Mhm.
of meats and food and all that is noticeably lower than in other European countries or in other Arab countries or in really in a lot of countries. Like when Spanish people or Polish people, they tell me, "Oh, I went to the UK, but the food there wasn't so fresh like it is here." They notice the difference, and I noticed the difference between, Saudi Arabia had good stuff, right? Philippines has great stuff, Georgia, Turkey, Morocco, they all had great stuff, but UK, they don't get very fresh stuff, and yeah, yeah. Um, there's many things I could say that I don't like about the UK.
Yeah, I know. I know. But yeah. So if you could change something about British culture, what will you change?
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's a good question. If there's something I could change, what would I change? Mm,
Uh,
mm. The high prices, man, the high prices. It's so expensive. Uh, well, I mean, this is like impossible to change, but in Britain, houses are very small. Like you notice this when you go there. Um, I imagine in Colombia, in your place, everything's very high and wide, and but you go to English houses or apartments or flats, and you feel like claustrophobic. Everything feels small. It, would- you know, yeah, yeah. So living spaces are, the actual house inside, the internal is quite narrow. You got narrow hallways, narrow staircases, narrow rooms, right? As my father used to say, you can't even swing a cat in it, right? Uh, because meaning there's no space, right? And and yeah, like yeah, here like there's lots of space in the Philippines. Is that everything's bigger, Saudi Arabia, everything was bigger. Georgia, Turkey, but in a lot of countries, living spaces are quite big, quite spacious. But the UK doesn't have spacious living spaces. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
that could be something I would like to change. Yeah. Um, yeah, what else? Again, like I could go on forever. This is the problem. Yeah, I mean, I'm not there now. That's why I yeah, no, yeah, there's a reason I'm not there, There's many reasons I'm not there. Um, mm,
Yeah, I can see. Now I can see the reason.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah, that's it. It's enough for me. And yeah, it was amazing to have a class with you, being honest.
okay.
I've been having classes with different type of teachers, but sometimes, being honest with you, I end the classes and I feel like quite frustrated because I don't know if it's because of the culture or if because of the environment, or I don't know what it is, but sometimes they are so cold and
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's a bit, yeah. Yeah, I'm trying not to speak too much to take. I don't want to take all of your time because obviously you need time to ask me questions and stuff, and to say stuff, right? I'm struggling not to say too much, right?
no, no, no. It was perfect. Being honest with
Ah,
you, the aspect result or something for me was amazing to know your point of view about your country, about your culture, and you are a really, I don't know, engaging man, and
right.
yeah, it's amazing. Okay,
I appreciate that. Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, yeah. I look forward to the next time you can interview me slash interrogate me about my culture next time. And yeah, yeah. I wish you the best, and I'll see you next time. Yeah. Sandra. Yeah.
Have a really good time. Okay.
Yeah.
I look forward for more classes with you. Okay.
Yeah. So have a great day. Have a great night. Bye bye.
Bye
Bye bye.
bye.